Hello and welcome to our living room for an episode of Hymns from Home. Today we'll be traveling to France, to the region and former French province where our hymn in focus apparently originates. Picardy is probably based on a French folk tune dating from as early as the 17th century, so we don't know the composer of this wonderful tune. It was first published in 1848 in a book called Chansons populaires des provinces de France, popular songs from the provinces of France. The matching of this text and tune by Ralph Vaughan Williams is pure genius. The text expresses awe at Christ's coming and the mystery of our perception of Christ in the body and blood. Although it has Eucharistic emphasis, the text pictures the nativity of Christ in a majestic manner and in a much larger context than his birth at Bethlehem. We can't help but be drawn into the awe and mystery of this text. Both this text and this tune, Picardy, have been married to one another and included in Episcopal hymnals since 1916. In the early 1900s, Ralph Vaughan Williams took up an interest in collecting folk songs from around the world and ended up with about 800 of them. He introduced some of these folk songs in the English hymnal for which he was music editor. Ralph Vaughan Williams studied with some of the English choral tradition greats, with Stanford, with Parry, and was really great friends with Gustav Holst. In Vaughan Williams' preface to the English hymnal, he wrote, and I quote, "Here is a book for congregations, not for choirs. The pitch is therefore kept low. Tunes are preferred that have stood the test of time." Ralph Vaughan Williams also believed that congregations should always sing the melody and the melody only. Let's have a quick look at this melody and examine a few reasons perhaps why people love this hymn so much. So what is it exactly about this hymn tune that really resonates with us as humans, as Christians, as people of faith? Let's examine the melodic structure. Right away we notice two things: the scale motif, 5 notes ascending, and we also recognize that it's somewhat a little more exotic. That is, exoticism repeats. Our first high note, and also a change in the melodic structure. Definitely jumps around a little bit more in the melody. It's no longer stepwise. If you were to analyze the form of this, it'd be very straightforward. You'd have an A section and a B section. Let me play through the entirety. Here's the A section. B section. So if there's something about this hymn that just makes you feel like it's old, well, that's because it is. This hymn, as I mentioned, is modal, and each mode has a name in music, and mode names come from the Greek language and from a time before we knew what major keys and minor keys were as clearly defined keys. The scale we now know as major was originally in Greek the Ionian mode, and the scale we now know as minor in Greek was known as the Aeolian mode. Let all mortal flesh keep silence is a translation of a Greek cherubic hymn from the 4th century Syriac liturgy of St. James, widely acknowledged to be the oldest Christian liturgy with roots possibly in the mid to late 1st century. The text is thought to have been written by St. James the Less, first bishop of Jerusalem. The strong, rich modality is evocative of the perceived mysticism of the Christian East and is based on a prayer chanted by the priest when the bread and the wine are brought to the table of the Lord. I hope you'll enjoy this, one of my favorite hymns, this Sunday.